Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Advent Health Racing League podcast. I've been invited here by NG Cup Series Stop Motion, and we are here to talk about the Advent Health Road Racing Series.
It's a pleasure to be here. And we'll talk about being it the first episode. We'll talk about quick rundown of the league and many more to come as we are deep into the playoffs.
We are 2 races away from the championship. We'll talk about that later, but first, a quick rundown of the season. We've
There's just so much to talk about.
We started out at Daytona, then we went to We went to Atlanta. Trackmaster won Daytona. Then we went to Atlanta where BSP won, and then I joined in at Las Vegas and won that race, and then went 2 in a row at the quarter pipe. Then GS won Charlotte. Aaron won Talladega. Auto Club went to GS, and so did Darlington. Michigan went to Armando. Chicago Street Course went to Pixels. Phoenix went to Buff Airman, and Daytona, the regular season finale, went to Pixels again. But that wasn't enough for him to make the playoffs. Speaking of the playoffs, the playoffs have started, so we got some championship contenders to talk about.
Yeah, with those playoff drivers, among those, of course, GS. I feel like GS, he won the regular season championship. I feel like he's just been the most dominant driver, all season, really. Of course, I believe, has the most wins. I feel like that's pretty obvious. And when he wins, it's not even like he comes out of nowhere. He's always up front. So I feel like that's the thing with GS.
Yeah. Then, you are actually leading the points in the playoffs right now. You are the points leader, the championship leader. 585 points is very impressive. You've managed to gain 85 points since the start of the playoffs. When we all started at 100, we were all even. Then, Buff Hairman in the 7 car, he joined in at, I believe, Chicago Street Course. He was able to win Phoenix and get his way into the playoffs with some very good races. Then I am in 4th in the point standings, 9 points above the championship 4 cutoff, followed by Aaron, my teammate, in the 37, 9 points behind, and so is Trackmaster in the 0, last in the championship running. So we have completed the regular season. We're 2 races into the playoffs. We did Iowa, where GS took yet another win. And then that was followed by Talladega, where Aaron was able to beat out NG just like the spring race. But he actually got disqualified from that race for trying to keep his position, going under the line and then back up to try and keep his position. He was reporting having lag issues, but the call was already made, so that let NG win Talladega. So we're going to give a little bit more of a rundown on those playoff races. So, NG, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Iowa was quite a race. There was no stage caution. The caution for the stage was removed. There was stage points, though. That was done to add some strategy into it. Green flag pit stops were in there. Late race yellow actually came out, which actually throughout the entire race, Buff was just driving away, even had the entirety of the back straightaway of a lead between GS and NG through the first or second stage. I can't exactly remember, but then GS pitted early, somewhere around there, and then a caution came out, and I was actually able to rocket him to the lead, ultimately getting him the win, even though the 7 was catching him in the closing laps of that race. I was just sitting there in third place watching it all unfold. It was pretty cool to see. Was the 7 gonna get there? Was he not? Didn't have enough. I would like to talk about the 7 just real quick.
Okay.
If I'm correct, ever since he showed back up for Chicago Street Course, other than Daytona, which he wasn't there for, he had a sub. Sorry, not Daytona, Talladega, excuse me. He has finished second or higher in every race so far that he's participated in. What a run by the 7.
That is a very amazing feat to have. Yeah, one thing that I'd like to talk about in the Summer Daytona race, the championship, or the playoff cutoff, excuse me. He actually finished the line backwards, finished in second across the line backwards in the air.
Upside down, I
were
think.
right behind him. Yeah, you're right behind him. You're able to see that as well. So that was a very interesting sight to see. Now talking more about Iowa. I didn't do very good at Iowa. I had to make a pit stop with 4 to go because I was about to run out of fuel, or it was like 9 to go. And I finished a lap down. That's how I was under the cut line until Talladega, where Aaron got disqualified, and that allowed me to sneak above the cut line. So I'll just have to have a good day at Kansas to advance the championship for. Speaking of Kansas, that's the next thing that we're going to be talking about.
Actually, no, we
So-
haven't talked about Talladega much.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about Talladega. Okay, excuse me.
So Talladega was definitely much different than the first race. Talladega, the first race in MWRT was a different track model than the second race, and the track model not a lot of people liked. It was just different. The banking was different. With the cars, it was not handling well. It was just really chaotic, and like also calls for a lot of freight training, we call it, just a lot of single cars, especially towards the end of the race. Hard to make moves because nobody was going to go with you and try to veer off the bottom, which was definitely very difficult.
Yeah. So Talladega was a very interesting race. We had plenty of big ones, flips, everything that you could ask for in a Talladega playoff race.
Well, it was
like last year in the Talladega playoff race, in real life, we had a 22-car pileup, and we have to have had that equivalent times 2 with how many big ones that we've had that race.
Yeah, especially, of course, right at the end of the race, that huge pile up through the tri-oval with about 7 to go or so. That was just, I hate to use the word, but massive.
That's not going to fare well.
No, it's not. I did not want to do that, but I did it against my own will, so. But took literally almost everybody involved. Some were able to get through it better than others. Just many just also were just innocent bystanders in it. But speaking of big ones, playoff drivers at that Talladega race weren't really anywhere to be seen at all. The only ones that were really consistently up front was Aaron and NG, myself. Like GS, Slamdor, you were up front now and then. Your mic is muted, by the way.
Yeah, I know. My dog's barking. I'm not a very good plate racer. I mean, I try to get up to the front, but whenever I do, I just get wrecked. I'm not good at plate racing.
Yeah. Buff had a sub, Nick. He was up front sometimes, but just never was consistently up there. I thought GS was going to be up front more. And then sometimes I completely forgot. I'm gonna be brutally honest. I completely forgot sometimes that Trackmaster was there. Just no one of the playoff drivers was just up front.
Yeah. I think some of them were in the back trying to play it safe, I guess.
And of course,
But
playing it safe.
yeah,
Especially from
then
my
the go ahead.
okay, especially from my standpoint of things. Of just plate racing in general. In a second race playoff, especially if you're below you play it safe at all. You have to go for every position you can without trying to play it safe. Sure, in the beginning of the race, especially with a new track model, I get trying to play it safe, but everybody was more risky in the first stage than they were the second. Everybody was just playing it cool the second stages, including those playoff drivers. And that's really what I think hindered a lot of them and allowed, Aaron at the end of the race and myself to take advantage of, especially gain those points in the playoff standings, just because nobody was trying to make moves.
Yeah, that was a very big part of what happened in Talladega. So the final lap at Talladega was one for the ages. In turn 3, Aaron went down on the apron under the line while BSP, I believe, tried to go up to the outside to pass him, and then Captain made it 3 wide while Aaron was still under the line. Then Aaron came back up, I believe, attempting to block, and almost turned himself into the outside wall. Luckily, he did not for him. But then out of turn number 4, people were trying to generate a run, including BSP and you. I think you were probably about 5th through the tri-oval, and then like halfway through it, you guys caught up to him. Then Captain tried to go to the outside, I believe, and Aaron might have blocked it, and then that allowed you to go to the inside of Aaron, and on the apron, he got shoved down by Captain, or doored by Captain, I believe, on accident. But it was a photo finish between you and Aaron, and you unfortunately lost. But then, after the finish of the race, the officials, including me, went back and reviewed it, and we made the call that Aaron went under the line to defend his position and was getting disqualified from the race. And you were able to get your first win in the series with a little asterisk on the side.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to talk about all the ways I've lost this season. I've lost in so many different ways. It's not even possible. So not only do I lose the races in the weirdest way, I also win them in the weirdest way. I don't get it.
Yeah, whether it's a poorly timed caution at Darlington or somebody getting disqualified on the final lap, you can win or lose the race, but
Or
in
having your
astonishing
controller
fashion.
disconnect with 5 to go.
We don't talk about that.
While chasing down the leader.
Okay, speaking of whatever we're talking about, Kansas, the final race of the round of 6, the cutoff to the championship 4, it has had very good racing in real life, so you can expect that here in the Advent Health Road Racing Series. I've tested the setup, and I've had it's a pretty fun setup. It'll produce good racing. I was racing with some of my friends. It was very close, so expect to see some good racing, and expect to see Aaron and Trackmaster trying to make their way into the Championship 4.
Yeah, something I've noticed with my personal experience racing there. There's several different ways you can take this track. It's really just going to play into what your driving style is. Are you going to try to ring the outside, try to get the momentum off the corner? Or are you going to try to throw it in the corner, have to let off a lot and brake heavily to make the corner? but are you going to throw it in there? Or are you going to try to, mess around with the throttle on and off, try to toggle it a little bit? There's so many different ways you can take this course. And there's, because of all those things, it's just going to make the racing so much closer and really a skill factor on the end of this race.
Yeah. So Kansas, expects a lot of action there. It's very multi-groove, but you'll see people mostly running the inside. Hopefully we can get a 5-wide pass like in real life last Kansas spring. But that's all I have for Kansas. Let's see. Championship. Well, no, we gotta review Homestead. So, Homestead, Miami. Once we decide our championship from Kansas, we're gonna go to Homestead, Miami to settle the champion. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to Homestead to see who the champion will be between the round of 4 drivers. It's also pretty multi-groove, but you'll expect to see people running the top. It's hosted the championship in real life since 2019. Then Phoenix took over until 2026, where Homestead will be returning as a championship. NASCAR made the right choice because Homestead is an amazing track. Like Homestead Fall last year, it was a fantastic race. We saw an amazing pass for the win on the final corner. So expect to see that from Homestead. Maybe it'll be for the championship.
Yeah, that's what we're really hoping for. And honestly, just with Homestead and what I've done, I've noticed that you can kind of throw the car into the corner, get it up to the wall, and on the entry, just full throttle on the entrance, get to the bottom of the racetrack, let off. Well, not even just let off. Hard brake down to 140s, 130s area, and then slide back up the racetrack. That throwing it in the corner at top speed is where you're going to get that lap time back. However, the outside is also a really good option. You can keep a higher speed and get a run off the corner as well. There's so many, again, just like Kansas, there's so many different ways you can take this course, but the course is also wider than Kansas. So you can see some more passing, some dive bombs into the corners, so many different things we're going to see. And just because it's a championship race is going to make it that much more exciting.
Yeah. So expect some great action from Homestead. And now on to Championship 4 picks. So, what are your picks for the Championship 4, NG?
Well, both of us are going to have one pick for sure in common. Both of us will have NG because after Talladega, he is locked into the playoffs. Well, I say he as in the third person, but that's besides the point. Locked into the championship 4 is the 22. Right now, for me, I'm going to talk about Trackmaster just for a second here because this is going to go along with my picks. I haven't seen him towards the front much. I'm going to be brutally honest. I haven't seen him towards the... I'm not saying he won't be at Kansas. I'm not saying he won't be. But I'm just saying I haven't seen him up front enough to really consider him a championship 4 pick or championship pick in general. I don't see the 0 making the playoffs. Now, my problem with the 37 is... I've seen him up front at super speedways, but if you look at other racetracks, it doesn't correlate as well as you hope it would be if you are Aaron in the 37 team. I think he could put up a fight to make the Final 4, but I don't see it happening. I see my Final 4 picks, speaking of NG, of course, GS, Buff, and Slam Door. I think Slam Door is going to be well good enough at Kansas. And then, of course, just with the buffer between Buff and GS over the cut line, I just don't see any way that they blow that.
Yeah, so I think my picks are the same as yours. GS and Buff have been very dominant this season. Yeah, they've been very dominant this season. They've won, uh, GS has won like 5 races so far, and Buff has won 1 at Phoenix, but he's also been very consistent. They both have been very consistent. So then I think you're also going to make it in. You basically locked into the championship 4,
I think I have like
and I think I'm barely going to make it in over Aaron, because Aaron has to get like a top 3 to make it in. So I just need to do well at Kansas, and I'll be in.
So if you do not win the stage, right? Let's say you, Trackmaster, or Aaron, you guys don't win the stage. If Aaron or Trackmaster wins the race, they are in no matter what. Now, if you win the stage, that's going to be better for you. However, it also, if they win the stage, that puts you in a bad position as well. You have to finish that much higher. So it's a really close battle to make the Final Four. Kansas is going to be really, really interesting. But speaking of how interesting it's going to be, picks to win. Honestly, I haven't seen too much of practice runs between everybody, but if you want to start on who you think is going to win, Slam Door, be my guest.
Yeah, I believe that Buff will win Kansas. I've seen him in a bunch of different racing leagues. He is very good with the MWRT games. He's been very consistent ever since he joined in at Chicago. Yeah, you said that every time he's raced, except for Talladega, he has finished second or better. So he's also a very good intermediate racer. So I see him winning Kansas.
Now, for me, I'm looking at Buff and GS, but for me right now, racing against GS at those intermediates, I just don't see any way you beat him. I don't see. He is really good on strategy. I mean, we saw it at Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
He is really good on pace. Those GS cars are incredibly fast. I just don't see how you beat him at a track like Kansas. And that's why I'm going with GS. Wow, what a long pause.
Yeah, okay. So now, championship picks. I am going to pick Buff Hairman again. I have seen him do very well at Homestead Miami. He won the MWRT D2 championship at Homestead. He dominated that race, so I think he's my championship pick.
Now, if that's D2 and looking at somebody like Buff, that can say something about the competition. But I'm kind of swaying a little bit. If Slam Door makes the Final Four, and I know you're right here, so this don't take offense to this, but I don't see the 38 having the same pace as the 22, the 34, and the 7 at Homestead. Now, the 22, he could have a chance if everything goes accordingly. But that's, of course, saying everything goes accordingly. And especially me, myself, I know that never happens. So I'm going to have to rule the 22 out.
Yeah.
That leaves the 34 and the 7. I feel like that could be a final lap battle between those two. Late race caution comes out especially. That is a last lap battle between the 34 and the 7. Maybe if the 22 is close enough, they take each other out. Maybe you can sneak it in there. But again, I'm going to rule out the 22 on this one. just because I don't see it happening. I see, once again, the 34 getting it. I feel like just the experience in the skill level on the 34 it can't really be matched, I'm gonna say. I mean, Buff can get close at times, but again, Homestead, all the different lines, you gotta figure out how to pass them. You gotta slide up in front, and especially if the 34 runs the outside at Homestead, you're not beating him.
Yeah. So we have some pretty different picks. We'll just have to see how those do for themselves. So your picks are GS for Kansas in the championship. My picks are Buff for Kansas in the championship.
Who knows?
So,
Maybe we're both wrong.
Yeah.
Who knows? Next thing you know, it's a non-playoff driver winning both races, and then next thing you know, Trackmaster defies all odds, goes out and wins the championship, or who knows? Maybe I'm leading the championship in the final lap, and my controller craps out like Michigan. We'll truly never know.
Yeah, it's very predictable yet unpredictable. Okay, anyways, I feel like this has been a successful episode of the Advent Health Row Racing League podcast. Thank you for listening in, and we will see you after Kansas or after the championship.
It'll be after Kansas. There's no way we don't do a pre-pro championship, but yeah, that'll be all from us. As I'm not going to repeat what he said. There's no need to. Yeah, if you want to see more of these podcast things and keep up to date with the Advent Health Row Racing series, drop a follow and a like. It would show that you actually care. So that'll be all from us, and we will see you after Kansas.